Hello, everyone. Welcome back from spring break if you're like me. This is Zach, and very excited about tonight's episode. California is a really big state, and sometimes you think you've seen it all, but uh, it's just so many riches out there that I love keep exploring. And last June, I was making my way up to Oregon. And if you saw my Forest Ranch video, those people were really fast. And we finished that ride really early. So I had a chance to make it up to Yreka and had a little time to run into meet Bill over at Jefferson Bike Company. And he gave me a little lowdown of riding in the area. And I was able to squeak in quick little ride. And even before the riding itself, I mean, you can see it's super gorgeous over there. No matter where I was, there were views covered in by trees, which was remarkable. And yeah, if you have an allergy to views of Mount Shasta, it's probably not the best place for you to live, but it's a gorgeous place to see everything. So we're gonna talk about the Siskiyou Scenic Bike Tour, including the Greenhorn Gravel Grinder, and let's bring in our friends here, Bill, Christal, and Jason. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining. And I'm when obviously I love riding bikes, but part of the bikes is the history and the context of the area and the people too. Before we get into the event, each of you tell me about your connection and to the area.
I guess I'll go first. I was born and raised here. I'm a fourth generation Siskiyou County resident. So I had a 26-year career in the schools and recently retired, and I started opening a bike shop. I actually was kind of late into the cycling. I started about the age of 40. I had been a distance runner and realized that my body wasn't going to withstand that. So I started riding at 40, and then since then, that's all I mostly do, and I just love bikes and cycling and everything about
it. Christal?
Okay, so I moved here in 1990, and I'm a physician of obstetrics and gynecology, kind of semi-retired at this point. I have loved biking since I was a kid. I saved up my money when I was in high school and bought a really nice bike, and my favorite ride was to go up the hills in the Bay Area. I grew up in Los Altos, and go up to the highest peak and then go down as fast as I could. And I have always enjoyed biking, and it's a great way to see the creation that we have all around us. And Siskiyou County is just an amazing place to be. I actually am the event director for the Siskiyou Scenic, and this is actually the 36th year of this event. But we joined with the Jefferson Mountain Bike Association last year to have a combined event of both all pavement rides on one day and gravel rides on the second day. And so the gravel thing is starting to take off.
I've heard something about it, yeah. Jason.
My name is Jason Singleton, and like Bill, born and raised in Yreka. I've been riding a bike since I was, 12, 13 years old. Got my first mountain bike when I was 15, and also was a runner. But that kind of faded for me, and especially when you realize that you can coast downhill, you don't have to run back down the hill. So that was kind of a perk as well. So done all the disciplines: mountain biking, road biking, gravel riding, bike packing. I know Siskiyou County roads like the back of my hand, both pavement and dirt, but it's been great to be able to explore more than just the pavement roads on the gravel bikes. And, Siskiyou County, we always say it's kind of the hidden paradise. We've got so many dirt roads that are just unexplored by most people. And we just feel pretty lucky to be where we are. No cars, not a lot of people. And it's just a great place to be.
I think, for a lot of people that are probably just driving through maybe on the 5, it's obviously really pretty with the mountains to the west and then just the plains to the east. But, if you go on, people go on to Google Maps, as I love to do. I mean, there's a lot more to the area than what you're going to see just driving through.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely really diverse. The whole Siskiyou County, we have high desert, we have mountain ranges, we have just such a diversity that you can just even any little short ride, you can see so much there is to offer. So it's a really great place to be.
Yeah.
And really, when you're doing the riding, you can't, go ahead, Christal.
Oh, I just was saying there's lakes, rivers, forests, farmland, cattle. You can see a variety of things.
Well,
usually you can see Mount Shasta just about wherever you're at.
Well, I noticed just, it looks like the routes seem to take you into a variety of regions into the area. But, one of the things that I'm always interested in is, and especially you see with gravel, are roads, not, how they got built, why they connect things to certain areas, and, what was there ahead of time that made people make these connections. Because obviously if you built roads now and try to make those connections, you would probably build them differently. But being able to access areas 100, 200 years before is far different. And looking at some of the history, it seems like the area is really tied to its roots more than other places. Like LA, we've washed it all over with freeways and pavement, but these towns and roadways seem to make a real connection to generations from before.
If you look around, especially if you look at if you ride the route, you're going to go through a lot of different history. Obviously the biggest thing that goes on in our area is we kind of rose from a gold mining perspective. And so, some of our route is, you'll see the dredger tailings right along the road as you're going by. And so it's, there's a lot to offer. Farming and ranching has been around for over 100 years as well. We've had, the timber industry has been in and out. And so, you're going to see a lot of that on this route.
Yeah, a lot of the roads were probably built by the National Forest Service.
Well, in my area, we have, the National Forest Service too, that helps maintain like the Angeles National Forest. But from what I saw there, I kind of wish some of those people were working over here, because the roadways seem to be really smooth. And that was never an issue on my riding. And is that because like a lot of these roadways are still very frequented a lot, and people really need them as connections? Maybe there's not a lot of people living along some of them, but like it's pretty important to have great access to get around.
Yeah, our route, on the route we're on, there are, some county roads that are still being used a lot. The quality of our roads are mostly because of the soil, the type of soil we have here, especially when you're on Yreka and you start heading west, get away from the Mount Shasta. We get more clay. It drains well. It can be wet one day, and then within a couple of days, it just is nice and tacky. We don't have the peanut butter mud. So it's just a good service for building trails or building roads. So I think a lot of it is just this type of soil that we have and ability to build these roads that were built years ago and they still hold up.
Well, let me throw in a few pictures here so maybe people can kind of like add to it. But I know, Bill, you sent along some of these photos, and I don't know. I think a picture being worth 1,000 words is kind of undervaluing what we're seeing here. Obviously the snow-capped mountains are pretty gorgeous, but it seems like you have like endless types of views like this, and like these little small hills in the background, right?
Yeah.
These
So
are
like
some of
here,
go ahead.
like here, this is after our first climb over Crown Gulch. Well, we drop into this valley. This is the same valley the Shasta Hugger is in, the Shasta Valley. So you get to see Mount Shasta. So this is really one of our spots that everybody likes to stop to take pictures because it just drops straight right at the mountains. It's quite breathtaking.
And I mean, like one thing, I just want to tell people this is not a race. This is a ride in a tour, which like a couple of weeks ago I was in the foothills of the Sierra for Everyone Loves Raymond, and I kind of tell people, why would you want to race something like this that's this pretty out here? You want to experience it, and you don't want to be rushing through and not taking it in. And has that kind of been the goal of these rides?
Yes, that's what, when I came up with the gravel, the idea to have this event was to have a type of ride like that. But what's nice about it is there's plenty of challenges in there. We've heard it before. You get a couple of people on a bike, you always kind of have a race. So there are small climbs, big climbs that we end up challenging each other and, have the bragging rights, who's the first to the top. So within a ride, you'll see some of that. So for those that are competitive, you'll get your chance to have some fun out there.
And I'm sure there's plenty of Strava segments.
There's that. And the nice thing too is that, you spend, a lot of times I've been places where, you spend an hour climbing a hill and then you go down the downhill, and the downhill is so rough or bumpy or rutted or whatever, and you can't really enjoy it. But on these, the downhills are going to be screaming. People are going to absolutely love the downhills because we just don't have those big rutted, bumpy sections. There's just really good, smooth gravel.
Yeah, I was, when I was there for my mini adventure, a lot of times I do my gravel guides. I do, a lot of research, and, I really wish I was able to plan enough ahead to do a gravel guide because I just was super impressed on that one downhill and the roads that I was on, how smooth it was. And actually, not that I was racing, but I was like, I'm finishing a lot faster than I thought because I just didn't know what the roads were like, which is a real testament. And just even this, I mean, hopefully it shows. But yeah, it seems like it's really smooth and curated and kind of, I don't know, like a Disneyland type level of maintenance here for the roadways.
Yeah, that's and that road right there, that's on the Scott Valley side of the ride. And you can see, I mean, if you look at the road that you showed the video on coming down, you look at the dirt there and you look at this dirt, it's the same exact dirt. It's the same makeup of the clay, and it doesn't take much to dry it out. And once even if it's tacky or if it's dry, it's, it's there. All the roads they're just in that kind of shape. So it makes for a good ride.
This may be an unnecessary geology question, but what I know, kind of just, the lava beds aren't too far away to the east, but, what is responsible for this type of surfaces? And is it volcanic, or is it, left over from the glaciers? Because it seems like, the funny thing is, like, I believe in about like 2 million years, like, we'll be neighbors as the plates shift. So it's interesting to me, like, how much like the landscape changes over time, and how the Eastern Sierra is so different from the Western Sierra. And I don't know, does anyone have any background? Sorry, I should have prepped somebody that there was going to be high school.
Well, I can definitely tell you it's definitely not volcanic.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what about these roads. I know we have a lot of granite in some areas, but this is not decomposed granite either. So I don't know, Bill, if you have any thoughts on that or not.
Yeah, I can't help you there. Sorry about that. I just know they're fun to ride on. That I can tell you.
And then one other picture here, and it's just the consistency of the roadway just looks really smooth. And these are probably in better shape than a lot of our paved roads here in Los Angeles. So I guess the funny thing is, I guess Los Angeles did have dirt roads, and it was the cyclists that wanted them paved. It led to roadways, unfortunately. So probably easier to maintain.
I think sometimes we can all say that we've ridden on better gravel roads than we have pavement roads.
Let me pull this down. So, Christal, if you're the organizer, how does this work? Having to do back-to-back days. I know, a lot of these events, these are grassroots events. They rely on volunteers, and tell me a little bit about how the community backs this all up.
Well, it's the Rotary Club of Yreka that is the primary event sponsor who puts this on. And so everybody in our Rotary Club volunteers, and now the Jefferson Mountain Bike Association club members volunteer as well. Our city is very nice in that they get the park ready. We start at Upper Greenhorn Park in Yreka, and they prepare the park ahead of time. Normally, there's no camping in this park, but for this event, they do allow camping. And so we have camping available the Friday night and Saturday night. And, we have somebody that stays at the park as the camp host. And, we have obviously the rest stop food, rest stops, for all the rides. And then at the end of the event, there's a meal that's included in the registration, and also beer for purchase and music. And so, we try and make it a big community party.
Yeah, I also noticed too, which is great, is that for a lot of events you pay high prices, but everything is well under $100 for both days, and that's a real testament to trying to make this open and get a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I noticed that the prices on events have really skyrocketed, and we want to try and make it available to everyone.
Yeah, I think that's a good model. I was glad, Christal, that's what I agree with. We try to make it affordable, make it something that is for everyone to have a chance. And mostly, we want at the end, you get some food, you get some swag, you get something for what you paid for, and, get a great ride. And ultimately, we just want people to walk away and say, that was a good day. And so that's our goal.
Well, I think, it's great to have the two back-to-back days. Gives people another reason why to make it out there. And, I like why I encourage people to go to these events is that, I always get questions about riding in an area, but it's very hard to go out and explore these on your own without like having a context. But when you have an event and you have the people that really know the area well, that really is a great reason why you should make it out to these rides. And let me pull up, I guess, the gravel course, as we have our little 3D fly through here. And if people have any questions, if you're in the right viewing, you can go ahead and ask questions, which we'll respond to. But this is our little Google map, and definitely help me walk me through here. But I noticed that the end starts on the south side of the town, off of Greenhorn here, and
from there we go south. The first 6 miles are on the old Highway 99 that kind of parallels I-5, and then you kind of work your way out, and then you turn right onto Cram Gulch Road. And Cram Gulch is the first, I think, 3 or 4 miles is paved, and it's just kind of once again, it's putting you right through the farmlands. You'll get there's some ranches up in there, there's houses up in there, and then that's your first climb. It's really that first 12 to 13 miles is a great warm up. With the last, that part up Cram Gulch, it's not a hard climb. It's a nice, good climb up there, and eventually it turns to dirt. It must be maybe about where the red mark is there. It turns to dirt, and then the final mile up Cram, and then down the other side, all that. That's where, when we were looking earlier at the picture of Mount Shasta, you come down the backside of Cram, and you get right in there. It's kind of fun because you're riding and you can't see Mount Shasta until you make the big turn, and then all of a sudden there's Mount Shasta, and it sort of kind of blows you away. Even for those of us that live here, that's kind of our favorite place to stop and grab a shot of Shasta as well. So come down through there, and you can see that the roads are going right through those grassy farm alfalfa fields or whatever. And so you get down to the end of Cram Gulch Road, it tees into Scarface, and then you take a right on Scarface Road.
You said Scarface, right?
Yes. Scarface Road.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure there's a story behind that. Or
yeah, we were wondering the same. We're not quite sure what the story is. But we were happy about that.
I'm not going to miss that turn then.
No. And the funny thing about it is that when Scarface, it tees in, Cram Gulch tees into Scarface, and we're turning right and going up the hill. But if you turn left and go 4 or 5 miles, you're going to run right into the gravel hugger course out in the valley. So there's a lot of connection between what Ben Brainerd does and what at least the first part of our course does. But once you start up Scarface, it'll turn to dirt, and then you're winding up and over those hills there, and that's your first big climb. Scarface, the climb itself from the cattle guard to the top is about 6 miles. You're getting almost 1,800 feet of climbing, and it's just nothing super steep. You're not going to hit any, except for maybe a couple pitches. You're not going to hit any, 15% grade or anything like that. It's a nice, good, 5 to 6%er all the way to the top. And then you're at the top, and I think there's a rest area at the top.
Yes,
yeah,
there is.
Right?
There is. Yes.
And then once you're at the top, it's a good downhill. Like I said, the gravel's good. So there's some tight corners in there. You got to be careful, but you come down all the way down, and now you're dropping into Scott Valley, and you can see the drainage down there. You're going to drop down onto just they're really nice and wide gravel roads. You're going to wind down where the creek is there. I believe that's Moffat Creek. And you're just going to wind down through. There's a few houses along the way, but mostly it's just ranch land. You probably run into you might see some cows here or there. And then you're cruising. You're cruising down. And then you're going to get down, as you get down through this little drainage here, you can see that you're going to do this little climb. And we call it Little Scarface. And it's about 1.5 miles. And boy, you know how that is though, right? After you've climbed and then you descended, now your legs haven't been really doing much for half an hour. Got to wake them up again. And so it's about 1.5 miles. Once again, it's not super steep. Gravel's good. You're going to get up to the top. And when you get up to the top, right after you cross over the cattle guard there, you're going to, if you look west, you're going to see the Marble Mountains, the Russian Wilderness, and on the far south side of it, you'll see the Trinity Alps. And they'll all be snow-capped in May still, but you'll see all of those snow-capped mountains just on the west side of the Scott Valley there.
Now, one thing, I can't control whenever Google takes their aerials, but here it looks pretty dry. So maybe they took these photos at a different time of the year. But the middle of the May, this will probably be pretty green, right?
Yes.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah, all the farmlands will be green. It's really a good time of year to look at it as you're dropping off Little Scarface. Like Jason say, you get to see the up above. You'll see all the Alps and the Russian Wilderness and the marbles, and then down below you're going to see all the lush green ranch lands. And it's quite the picture to look at.
In fact, Bill and I did a ride recently where we came down off a Little Scarface, and all of that down in that valley where it's brown right now, it's all green. It's all green, and it will be green. It'll be green well into the time that we're riding the Greenhorn gravel grinder.
Yeah, I noticed on the aerial they didn't have cyclists from the time you were doing the Greenhorn gravel grinder, so that would have been a good indication of what time of year it was.
Yeah.
So when you make your way into this valley, I mean, it's interesting when I zoomed out here on Google Maps. It's just I live in a valley here in LA, but how huge this valley is, and it's just the size of it just seems to be pretty remarkable against how everything is so spread out.
There's about 4,000 people that live in that valley.
Wow.
So they're pretty spread out in the valley.
Well, it looks gorgeous, and it'd be, I imagine this is another great selling point of coming out here.
Right.
It's very scenic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I have to use too much of my imagination to get a picture of it all. So then we get back onto pavement for a little bit. It looks like we're kind of encircling some of these hills and mountains here.
Right. So you're back on Scarface, eventually turns back to pavement. And then when you're riding through those little foothills there, you're going to turn onto East Side Road. And then East Side Road's is pavement. It'll take us into the town of Fort Jones. And I believe Fort Jones is a population of around maybe 700-800 people. So you'll roll into Fort Jones. We have another aid station there. Is that right, Christal?
Yes.
Okay.
At the corner of Scott Valley Road and Highway 3.
And for those that are wondering also, if you are coming and doing both days, this part, the East Side Road part, is also going to be part of the Century Ride the day before, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
It goes all the way through Scott Valley and goes further south and then over Gazelle Mountain.
Okay. Yeah. So you get to see a lot of the both Scott Valley and Shasta Valley on both rides.
Okay. And
so you can see, I think the town of Fort Jones is right down there on the bottom, kind of the bottom right of that picture. And then we're just gonna after the aid station, then you're gonna continue on to Scott River Road, and then you're sort of going down like the Scott River drainage, but then you're gonna turn onto Indian Creek Road, which then takes you up another like little drainage. That's where that's one of the first places you're going to start to see that the old dredger tailings. Not as much as you're going to see later, but you're going to get a sense of the gold mining that happened in the 1800s. You roll up Indian Creek Road, and then eventually it turns back to dirt, and you get up to a point where you turn right onto Highview Gulch Road, and that's our third climb. Highview Gulch is just under 2 miles, and once again, it's not super steep. You get about just get over a little bit over 550 feet of climbing. Another good road for spinning up. And so you're basically climbing up the little mountain range there before you drop back down into McAdams Creek. And for those that are looking for maybe a little bit more of a rougher road off of the top of Highview Gulch down to McAdams Creek, I mean, I don't know, that's about as rough as the road's going to get on a downhill, but it's not that bad. And then you can see you're going to drop right down there into back onto what we call McAdams Creek Road. And what you're doing right there is you're turning on, and you're going to go back up what we call the backside of Greenhorn. But as you're going up there, that's where you're going to see big evidence of gold mining. And one of the things that's really interesting about basically right about there, you see a road going off to the left there. Mm-hmm. Right at that T, there used to be the town of Deadwood. And Deadwood back in the day was a gold mining town. And believe it or not, as the history goes, about 5,000 people lived in Deadwood. And now it's a ghost town. Wow. The only thing that's left that really gives you evidence is there's like a little rock monument that tells you about that. But you definitely see the evidence of the dredger tailings as you're going up through there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually considered for the county seat for Siskiyou County, but Yreka won out.
Uh-oh. You guys washed it all out.
That's right. So this is it. This is your last climb. It's fairly exposed, but it's this time of year not too bad as far as climbing. This is not a climb you want to do in July, but this time of year it'll be perfect. There's a creek. You'll hear there's a creek that's running down through there. I would imagine will still be running in May. This is about, as we call it, the backside of Greenhorn. It's about a 3.5 mile climb, a little over 1,000 feet elevation gained to the top. And any of us that do it are always happy to be at the top.
Yeah, the average high here on May 19th is 74 degrees.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah, someone was just asking about the dates. So it's the 18th for the road and 19th for the gravel.
Correct.
And then just finishing off here, I believe I had. Now that I'm looking at this, when I rode, I think I just got to the start of the dirt. I didn't realize how close I was to the top.
Back in the day, before when we were just always on road bikes, we would just ride up to the pavement and turn around, and we'd always wonder why they didn't pave this thing to the top. But we don't think that way anymore. We think, why did they have to pave it to this point? Why did they just leave it dirt the whole way? So basically, you get to the top, and here's the best part of the whole ride right here is you're coasting. You're basically 6 miles back down to Greenhorn Park. It's all downhill. So your big reward is all downhill back to the park.
I think actually, so here that when I was coming, so I can switch this. Sorry, I had another screen that had it up here, but I did catch some video, and maybe I'll put a link underneath if people want to see the descent, because I did say, well, I'm going to turn on my camera for this. But yeah, it seems like a pretty exceptional ride. But the numbers itself for the ride, even though it sounds like we're doing a lot of climbing, it's not egregious.
Yeah, it's actually kind of nice because sometimes you can get on a gravel ride where you're either going up or down the whole time, and there's actually a lot of cruising. I mean, I like the cruising parts where you can just kind of get on a dirt road and just cruise, soft pedaling it for 14, 15 miles an hour, or if you're really into it, you could go 20 miles an hour. But I would say, would you agree there, Bill, that there's
Yeah. What's nice about it is how they're spaced out. You start out, your warm up is on pavement, you hit the first little dig, climb up, and then you have some more downhill and then some gradual climb to get to the next big climb. And even then, that Scarface was 6 miles, so that's your largest climb. But now you're halfway through your ride. You've got most of the climbing done. So then the good thing about the climbs, especially at Scarface, is it's a lot of switchbacks. So it's not this long straightaway where you're just staring, trying to figure out when it's going to end. You're just always doing something. And they're just really fun. The descent's the same way. You got a lot of turns, and it just keeps you occupied. And then, and then when you break up the climbs, you just forget about them. And then you do them again, and then you go back to just riding. And there's a nice mix of pavement too. So it kind of gives you that break where your legs can just spin out and feel good. And so I think it's got a lot of everything.
So for this ride, it's 6,473 vertical feet. And that's the one that we just viewed. For the shorter ride, the 39 mile, there's 4,114 vertical feet.
Oh. What are the numbers for the Saturday ride? Because I probably wouldn't do the Century, but if I'm doing the gravel, but it sounds like the other distances are pretty palatable if you're going to do back to back.
Right. So the 104 mile, the Century has 6,003 vertical feet. The 67 mile, the Metric Century, which goes through Shasta Valley, not Scott Valley, and that only has 2,302 vertical feet. And I noticed that there's quite a few registrations that are doing the 67 on the 18th, and then one of the gravel rides on the 19th. And then we have a 40 mile ride with only 1,534 vertical feet. And we have a real short ride of 21 miles with 1,054 vertical feet. And those are all pavement on Saturday. But they're roads that are not, high volume of cars, and so it's actually pretty peaceful.
Yeah, one of our favorite saying is, wow, it was a busy day, we had 5 cars pass us. And that's 4 hours of riding. So we're used to not a lot of traffic, especially on a weekend day. So it's one of the nice things about here. Siskiyou County as the 5th largest in area, but only 44,000 people live here. So, lots of space and lots of, areas to go where you won't hardly see people.
And to register, you can go to www.siskiyouScenic.com.
Okay, I will add that to the notes underneath. Another thing for people that are coming into town to visit, what else should they add on to their docket of things to see or places to go or favorite restaurants or anything like that?
There's several restaurants. There's our local coffee shop, Zephyr's Coffee Shop. My daughter owns it, so I have to say that one. But there are other shops here as well. There's Jefferson Roadhouse. It's a good place to eat dinner. There's a Thai place, Natalie's Thais. So we like that.
And Strings is an Italian restaurant.
Yes. So we have a variety of things. Lalo's, or not Lalo's, but Casa Ramos are a Mexican food restaurant. So lots of choices, several different motels and hotels for accommodations. We have everything you need to come, stay and get some food.
It's a small town. Yreka's no bigger than 10,000 people, but we do have, we have big grocery store, and we have all the accommodations you need to survive if you're coming to the rural area.
And if you're interested in history, we have a historic district. We have all our homes that you can go just do a walking tour. The downtown, the buildings were built in the 1800s, so there's a lot of history there as well. We have our county museum that has the history of Siskiyou County there, and an outdoor museum. So there's things you can do. Greenhorn Park, if you're not staying there, you just want to walk around. It's got trails to hike on or ride on. It's got an old mining town display. So there's plenty of things to see and do.
Yeah, just in Greenhorn Park alone, there's 9 miles of trails that can be used for hiking or biking.
Yeah, we also just picked up a dog in our family, so it sounds like there's a lot of outdoor space for her to roam and discover too.
Oh yes.
Well, I want to thank you for joining. Please hold on while I sign out. But I really think that the great thing about these bike rides is they're all born out of people that really love where they live and want to share this with people on the outside and bring people in. And definitely having 3 of you on just pretty much shows it out front that you all just have a real affection for the area and just eager to share it with others like me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank you, Zach, for what you do and inviting us for this and give us an opportunity to share our story and what we have to offer. And so we appreciate what you do as well.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. And everyone, please check it out, and we'll be adding links onto the feed. Okay?
All right. Bye.
Goodbye. Hopefully we'll see you May 18th or 19th.
All right.